Major Mohammed Ali Shah is joining me on the broadcast for this story. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, your comments on the statement that has been made by Antony Blinken and mobilizing international support for Ukraine.
Most certainly, and US, yes, well, they are extending full support to Ukraine and trying the best to avert the tension over there that's happening. But let me tell you also, the actual main focus should lie towards China, because the kind of build-up that has happened at Russia-Ukraine border is actually nothing compared to what China is actually trying to arm twist and bully us. Having said that, Antony Blinken had also spoken about the same thing a couple of days back. In fact, in Melbourne, for that matter, there was also a high-profile meeting when it was discussed, but there was not a single mention on China. Everybody was very mum on that. Now, the latest satellite images, they show that the deployment of troops that Russia has done at the Ukraine border is not 1 lakh as which we were earlier perceiving it to be. It's much more than that. That's close to about 1,30,000 troops which are actually built up. But now the golden question is that Russia, we all know, has the capability to attack Ukraine anytime they want, right? But do they have the intent? Do they have the intention? I give you the reference of the 62-minute phone call which Joe Biden had with Vladimir Putin just 2 days back, and he tried his best to convince him, but Vladimir Putin was adamant and he went head on that he would not budge from there. But does he actually intend to attack Ukraine? As the Ukraine president also, Vladimir Zelensky, has put on Facebook, he's given the accurate date that 16th February Russia will invade into Ukraine. Let me tell you, the entire trouble started from 1991 when the fragmentation of USSR, the Soviet Union, it was fragmented, and now they are 29 member states of the NATO alliance. And the Article 5 of the NATO Act says, if there is an armed action against any of the NATO allies, all the NATO allies will unite together, take it personally upon them, and take any action they deem fit to be against the person who is actually putting the armed attack. So now the golden question is, will Vladimir Putin actually go in and show that kind of guts and courage to go ahead and attack Ukraine? Now, if we say, if at all such a situation does arise, God forbid, will it lead to a third world war? Because it's going to be, a lot of countries are going to be affected. Like, for example, I'll give you a small example, like, say, economies. Say, the gas pipeline between Russia and Germany. Who will benefit from it? Ultimately, Russia is going to benefit from that gas pipeline. Now, the German Chancellor also has been very, very vocal about it. And just about 2 weeks back, we had the German Naval Chief visiting India on the behest, on the invitation of IDSA. And he had spoken over there, and he even mentioned between you and me and informally, and don't quote me, that Russia would not attack Ukraine. Actually, what is the interest they would have in a small strip over there? For what? For what joy? So now, people who are actually watching, I really do not, and all that Vladimir Putin wants is respect. So in other words, he was only trying to arm twist, and the naval chief had to resign the same day, in fact. So, for speaking the truth, actually, so ultimately, I really do not think, and US has, yes, of course, vacated its embassy and it's getting its stuff out from Kyiv and all. Fine, these are also ultimately can be pressure tactics as well at the same time. Now, the golden question is, will actually such an event unfold? As Nostradamus had predicted earlier, and most of his predictions, people say that they have come true. Now, the golden question is, will this actually happen tomorrow? Or say before the Beijing Olympics end by 20th February, around that time, any day from now? Will it actually happen or not? That's something which we have to be alert, wait and see. But my perception, my analysis says that no. It will not happen. The peace would prevail. And lastly, I would like to conclude by saying that this situation would not diffuse overnight. This is a long, drawn process because it's been built up over the years. So it would take time for things to cool off and for things to stand on from there. Emma.
All right, Major Mohammed Ali Shah, stay with us as we shift our focus to the Russian buildup in Ukraine. Satellite imagery of Russian deployments in Belarus, Crimea and Western Russia show massive buildup of forces as tension rise over a possible Russian invasion of Ukraine. Maxa collected recent satellite images of Crimea, Belarus and Western Russia that reveal a number of significant new military deployments across the region, including the following. In Crimea, a large new deployment of troops and equipment was seen on February 10th at Oktyabrsky airfield. More than 550 troop tents and hundreds of vehicles have arrived at this abandoned airfield north of Simferopol. Amid this build-up, Ukrainian president has posted a video on Facebook saying that the country was informed that Russia would attack on February 16th. He said, and I quote, "We are told that February 16th will be the day of the attack. We will make it the day of unity. The relevant decree has already been signed. On this day, we will hoist national flags, put on blue and yellow ribbons and show the world our unity." Major Mohammed Ali Shah, what is your take on the warning that has been issued by Ukrainian president? It's certainly inviting attention to this global crisis that is now unfolding, and especially when a deadline has been put, him saying that February 16th will be the day of the attack.
Absolutely, Rema, you are totally very right over there. It is a matter of concern. There's no doubt about it, because you can't ignore such a thing. I'll give you I'll equate it with a very, it may not be silly, but another example. Supposing someone says, okay, guys, I am going to commit suicide. So that's something, either you ignore it, oh, yeah, he won't have the guts, he'll just do this thing, or he will actually go ahead and do it, right? Similarly, we cannot take it lightly. This kind of a threat, yeah, or it's not a threat, it's a warning rather. In fact, it can be that he is put up in panic. It could be that he is looking for sympathy. He might be looking for support. He might be definitely not attention for sure. That's for sure. I mean, though of course we might perceive it in any way, but yes, it is. They could be. Let's not take it lying down. Let's not say that okay, Russia will not attack, as I am perceiving it. I am analyzing that Russia will not attack Ukraine ultimately. But let's give a benefit of doubt over there. Let's say 1% chance, despite all the build-up. Yes, if Russia does actually go in for an attack on Ukraine, then we'll say, oh, we took the warning lightly. But as you rightly said, what do we make of this warning? Do we actually wait and see? But let's see. I mean, it is a matter of concern for two reasons. First reason is, it is a matter of concern, no doubt, when such a massive build-up is taking place. And second matter of concern is, it is a matter of concern when the head of a state, when Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, puts up a post like that. Come on, a head of a state putting up a post. Now, it's not a 15-year-old putting up a post like that, a video like that. It is the head of a state. So certainly they must be, see, there's no smoke without fire. So obviously he's perceiving a threat, and plus he has given a deadline. He's given the specific date. That's 16th February. Earlier it was like, say, before the Beijing Olympics gets over, 20th February. But now it's most certainly, it is certainly something which should be actually not be taken lying down. And as they say, prevention is always better than cure. So I hope the tension diffuses, which will not happen overnight, I know. But actually the main evil is towards China, and the US should actually focus more towards China, where they do not have money for several things. Here they are sending support to Ukraine. Welcome. All said and done. Well done. Must do it. Must maintain peace. Must ensure that the world is a better place. Yes.
Stay with us as we also take a look at US's reaction. The United States has called out China over its implicit backing for Moscow in the high-stakes Ukrainian standoff, as Western powers fear an imminent Russian invasion of Ukraine. Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby said, and I quote, "Their tacit support, if you will, for Russia is deeply alarming and frankly even more destabilizing to the security situation in Europe." Meanwhile, China hit back and blamed US for the rising Ukrainian crisis. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, your reaction on China coming out and supporting Russia?
China, Russia, Pakistan, they have been allies, they have been friends as it is. So it doesn't really surprise me that China has come out in support of Russia. It was expected. And ultimately, again, as I explained, who benefits from it ultimately? Who watches the fun and enjoys the benefits? It's going to be China at the end of the long run. So yes, and China is a country which is not to be trusted by the first place. They are very capable of backstabbing, which they have done to us several times. They haven't honored any of our treaties, be it the Shimla Pact of 1914, be it the Panchsheel Pact, be it any of the pacts. They do not honor any of them. Let me tell you what their friendship with Pakistan also is. It is not like we have unconditional love and support towards Nepal, Bhutan, towards our friends. But China, they are not friendly with anyone. They only have business in mind. They are feeding Pakistan right now, but tomorrow there are no free lunches at the end of the day. So ultimately, China is showing signs of Pakistan. Like for example, at the action that took place about 2 months back at the canal. So China asked for compensation from Pakistan. So China's interest in Pakistan is the CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. They have invested huge sums of money over there. So when China comes out in support of Russia, it is not unconditional. They are also seeking something of their interest. So yes, so China will support Russia, whereas America and the whole world will support Ukraine, because nobody like a bully, and Russia is in a way trying to bully Ukraine. They already proved themselves. They say history repeats itself, right? So in 2014, Russia had invaded into Crimea. They're taking a strip of land from there. But since the German Chief of Army Staff had rightly said that nothing like that was going to happen, so China can be a cheerleader, they can clap their hands, they can watch the fun, they can hope that something would happen and they would ultimately benefit. But I really do not see that, some action on ground is actually going to happen, Hema.
Okay. Major Mohammed Ali, do you think that, the Russian-Ukraine crisis has brought out global rivalries like never before? What is your take on it?
Yes, you are right. It has brought out global rivalries like never before. But having said that, that is my take, yes. But having said that, it would not result to a world war, as a lot of people are speculating and anticipating and getting tensed about. So yes, it shows that, one comes to know in crisis is the time when one comes to know who are your real friends, who are your real enemies. And here it's very clear, the writing on the wall is very, very clear who's supporting who. Ukraine is supported by the NATO allies, by America. Russia is supported by China, indirectly by Pakistan as well. Indirectly by Taliban will also step in. Let me tell this to you also. Taliban will also try to poke in its nose, but it's not being able to look after its own affairs at home. So that is why they cannot afford to reach out right now. But yes, it certainly has brought in and shown the world who is an actual ally of whose and who is going to support who in terms of crisis.
Right, you just mentioned that, this has also led to speculations of a third world war. Now, in this situation, what needs to be done to make sure that the world does not reach that stage? How do we de-escalate this situation?
See, the Norwegian ex-president, he's the General Secretary of NATO, which has 29 member states. And of course, as I stated, the Article 5 of that, they are going to adhere to that, I'm very, very sure. So, best is to maintain peace and calm. In fact, 6-7 member states heads have spoken to Vladimir Putin already, but he remains adamant. He remains adamant that he would not move his troops from there. But for what joy? What is he getting out of it? See, these people ultimately, I being a soldier, I can tell you there's no glory in war. It might look very good in Hollywood movies and people might get inspired by the action that goes on over there, but there's no glory ultimately at the end of the day. And there's no glory in, because a war only takes the economy of a country decades, not years, decades behind. So now, having said that, I really hope for the world international community can manage to convince Vladimir Putin, because one single man, this whole thing is happening over one single country. And it all started after the disintegration of the USSR.